Alright, I had a thought today about language and the way we talk about the prison industrial complex, the way we talk about prison. I was thinking about free thinkers of the past who have said something outlandish and the state didn't like it, so they sent these people into exile. And I started to think about how prison is built and what its intentions are to be accomplished, or what its intentions are stated to be. What is the point of having prisons in a country? I think the word prison is not useful and accurate. I think the word prison is not accurate to describe what the prison system really does and is like. What does a prison do? A person is sent to prison and they are cut off from the rest of the world. They have to pay for any sort of contact with people outside of the prison that they're housed in. They have to pay for basic necessities, using real money in a commissions area, commissions market. So they're isolated from the rest of the world, the outside world. It's made very difficult to make any contact with the outside world. It's a method that is stated as a punishment. It's supposedly supposed to be a punishment for a crime. So any violation of the law, and that law can be a state law, can be a federal law, and there can be mishaps as a result of confusions about which laws are being violated, whether it's state or federal, about whether or not we can keep people in prisons for the same lengths of time that it would be if they are violating a state versus a federal law. There's all of these bureaucratic discussions that are happening in closed spaces with no witnesses, no camera, no way of being accessed by the common person, by the person who's being currently imprisoned. There might be abnormally long wait times in order to get due process happening. A jury of your peers might not happen at all. There's all sorts of computer logs that are processing your entire life, and whatever has happened that has led to this circumstance of you being imprisoned, that have to be calculated by a computer system, more or less, with minimal direct human intervention and assessment and contact. And all of this is allowing people's lives to slip through the cracks, people who may have not committed violent crimes, people who may have committed violent crimes or other kinds of crimes before the age of 25, before they were reached full maturity, people who have their entire lives locked away due to a mistake they made, maybe as a child or a youth or a young adult, which is relevant, as people may be an adult by the law, but are still inexperienced in terms of how to deal with adult realities and economic situations. So that requires its own video. What does it mean to put a person in prison for an entire life sentence, to put them on death row for a crime they committed under the age of 25? And that person perhaps is not some unhinged, violent person. So that requires its own video. So I'm talking about, in this video, specifically the term prison, and whether or not it is useful, and whether or not we need a better term to describe what it is that is happening when a person is put in what we now call prison, when a person is locked away behind bars and isolated from the world, which is what it looks like. So, what I want to say is, I think cage is a better word than prison. This is the first word I thought of in coming up with a better alternative to prison. What I want to say is, putting somebody in prison is akin to putting someone in exile territory, to putting someone in a state of exile as it was in older societies. Specifically, I'm thinking of European societies. Since I grew up here in the United States of America, which currently imprisons the most people per capita of any country in the world by a long shot, by magnitudes. There are millions of people in prison in the United States of America, millions of people, and that number is greatly larger than what we can see in other countries, even other European countries of great social economic power are housing no more than hundreds of thousands of people in their prisons, from last I checked, and I am not 100% sure of that number, so I would double check that, but I do know that the US is housing millions of people, which is a lot of people. If you think about the largest cities in this country, New York, Los Angeles houses 4 million people, from what I recall. So that's a lot of people, and the important takeaway here is that the US is housing by magnitudes of greater level more people in prison per capita. And yeah, most of these people, in comparison to the other races of the population, the most of these people who are housed in prison are imprisoned with a quickness are black people, and continuing onwards, people of color as well who are not black. And blacker neighborhoods are over-policed, poorer neighborhoods are over-policed, all of these things. So I'd like to say there needs to be a conversation about prison not being an accurate term. What is prison? What does it mean to be in prison? To be in a place that you cannot leave. That's what prison means. That's what the word really means, and not some, that's what the word means. It means to be within a place that you cannot leave. That's what the word prison means. But when we say prison, socially, we're referring to the prison industrial complex and literal prison faculties And that's the word we're using, is prison. So this is an idea I had today that I wanted to talk about. Language shapes all of our understandings of reality. We use language to build our realities and how we can speak about realities and various things that are happening in the world and life.